Welcome, everybody, to the CFL Weekly Pickup Show on the Gruely True Sports Network. We are at Week 19. I'm your co-host, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I want to welcome in my other co-host. First up, back from the Bahamas, where, from talking to him on the NFL Pick'em Show, he spent 5 days inebriated. Help me welcome Brian Schmidt.
It was a wonderful 5 days. I can't believe we are at a week. Yes, I do, and the things I don't remember, I've got pictures. So,
you know what? If you're ever going to run for Congress, those pictures could stop you, or enhance your chances.
I know they could.
Stormy Daniels wasn't on the boat, was she?
I don't believe so. No.
Okay, then you should be safe. And of course, we also have four-time Grey Cup champion Robert Drummond. How you doing, Robert?
Pretty good. How's it going?
It's going great, and the CFL is really heating up, and I think the parody mediocrity thing has turned into mediocrity, but it's exciting mediocrity, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats put on an offensive showcase in their 34-20 road victory against the Toronto Argonauts on Friday night. Quarterback Jeremiah Masoli completed 70% of his passes for 338 yards and 4 touchdowns. Pretty much everybody left now except for Toronto and Montreal as a threat, so we're not going to go that way. But with Masoli playing the way he is, John White running the ball, Hamilton's a really good team right now, Brian.
Yeah, they really are. They've really just continued to develop through the year, and they've had a few bumps. Everybody's had a few bumps, probably with the exception of Calgary. But this is a really going to be a very interesting team that once they get to the playoffs, they seem to be getting hot right now. Who knows? I saw somewhere where I think that they were the Calgary was the first team that people picked to be into the Grey Cup, but now I guess Hamilton's like number 2 or something. So really kind of interesting to see where they've developed.
Yeah, and when you look at it, they're now set up where they're going to play Ottawa, which we're going to talk a little bit more in depth here in a little bit. But this team right now, Robert, I mean, they've got as good a chance as anybody right now.
I mean, Hamilton's been a very good team the entire year. They just played up and down. Played down to opponents. That they should have beaten. Played up to the opponents. They're possibly like a Calgary or Winnipeg, who I thought at the time, we're better than them. But I think this game says a lot more about the players from Toronto not wanting to be there, and having nothing really to play for, than how good Hamilton is. Yes, a victory is a victory. But I think at that point, a lot of the Toronto players just didn't want to get injured, just wanted to get out of there because they really were playing for nothing. But good for Hamilton to be able to go in there, get a victory, and get some momentum going into the playoffs.
All right, and there's like 5 teams we can say this about, but the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are so up and down. But Matt Nichols and the Blue Bombers have been rolling since coming off their most recent bye week. The rolling continued on Saturday as they shut out the Rough Riders 31-0. It was Winnipeg's first shutout since 2006, and the first time that the Riders had found themselves on the losing end of a shutout since 2014, kind of like Ottawa and Hamilton, where you never know what you're going to get with these teams. But Matt Nichols, wasn't outstanding in the game. He was 10 for 18, 1 touchdown. When you look at it offensively, nothing really stands out. But defensively, this Winnipeg team, when they come to play, Robert, is as good as anybody defensively.
Yeah, they're very good. This is a more of a statement psychologically, for Winnipeg, over Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan's got to be thinking, what the hell is going on? Winnipeg's got to be thinking, that we're in prime position right now. That teams, better take note, because we're a team to be reckoned with. As I said, it's not how you start; it's how you finish. And Winnipeg just put themselves in a position where teams are taking notice. And good for them. Saskatchewan, I don't know what their problem is.
Well, I'll tell you, when you get this late in the season and you've played well, things like this can happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Bengals fan.
Yeah.
I remember in 1988, the Bengals go down to Houston in like week 15 and get beat 44-6, and still ended up in the Super Bowl. Saskatchewan on the year has probably been.
That's in between, though. I mean, it's not a norm. I mean, yes, it can happen. No, but so can lightning in a bottle. You know, I mean, for a team to get beat that big late in the season, you know, that psychologically as a player, that weighs on you. You know, and for the Bengals to be able to do that, you know, I mean, I remember that season. You know, it was a great season for them. You know, but it doesn't happen often.
Yeah, but I think with Saskatchewan, I'm going to consider it a blip, not because I picked them to win the Grey Cup at the start of the year, but because I still think this is a really good team, Brian. And Winnipeg was in a lot more desperate situation than, you know, Saskatchewan was. Am I wrong here, or do you think Saskatchewan's in trouble?
No, I don't think you're wrong. I would agree with you. It's a little bit too early to say they're in trouble, but you know, these are the kind of games that happen. It's just a matter of now what they come back with. You know, in the next coming weeks, is, you know, we're getting to playoff time. They've got Calgary. You know, we'll talk about, you know, them playing Calgary this week. Even if you don't win that game, you want to play well. Obviously, you want to win it, but even if they don't, they want to play well. So, you know, you know, don't want to hit the panic button, but you know, certainly this was I don't think anybody saw this coming, a 31-0 kind of a game. I don't think anybody saw that happening.
No, and then we move on to the Edmonton Eskimos, who have been absolutely horrible the last couple weeks. Couldn't get out of their own way, couldn't score a touchdown. But then comes this last game against, of course, the Ottawa Redblacks, the most hot and cold team in the history of the world. A dominant second half from the green and gold defense led the Eskimos to a 34-16 victory over the Ottawa Redblacks. Edmonton's getting to the point here where everything's a must-win. They got the win. My question here is this, Brian. Ottawa had a one-game lead for their division. They had everything going the way they wanted, and they come out and basically lay an egg in this second half. I mean, I don't see this Ottawa team being like the team a couple years ago that was hot and cold and then got hot and won the Grey Cup, because it seems to me like that team, if I remember right, lost a ton of close games. It seems to me like when Ottawa doesn't show up this year, they get blown out.
Yeah, they really do. Ottawa, and you're right, I don't know that I can remember in any form, you know, college, NFL, I just don't ever remember a team that's this hot and cold. When they're hot, they're really hot. When they're cold, I mean, it's ice cold. We have not seen an in the middle with this team, and that's not good when you get to playoffs. You know, yeah, it's great if you can ride the hot streak, but they seem to almost be an every other week kind of thing. You can't do that in the playoffs. So, you know, right now, I can't see Ottawa being a real Grey Cup threat.
Yeah, Robert, when we talk about Ottawa, you want to speak to that a little bit? Because to me, and you've been on championship teams, but championship teams are teams that even when they don't perform well, find a way to win, and I don't see that with this team. When they're not performing well, they're getting hammered.
I mean, the best equation I can equate it to is it's a simple fact of, you know, when you grade film after a game, you know, and a coach will sit there and tell you, it's like, you know what, you this play you performed 100%, this play you took the play off, this play you performed 100%, this play you took the play off. Ottawa seems to take games off. And I've never seen that from a team where they can play great, you know, grade out one game, but then the next game it just seems like they take the game off. It's just like their head's in a cloud and they have no idea what they're doing. I mean, I've never seen a team that's so up and down, so hot and cold, so miss or hit before in the history of any sport, much less the CFL. You know, Ottawa's an enigma. You know, and if I was a betting man, I'd be scared, you know, to bet money on this team. Are they talented enough to win it all? Yes, they are. They proved that 2 years ago. But will they? Probably not, because you have no idea which team is going to show up. And that's their problem.
Yeah, and we'll transition to the BC Lions, who are a team that looks like they've decided to start showing up because they've played as good as anybody over the last month. They've won 5 out of their last 6 games. They beat the Calgary Stampeders on Saturday night on the road, 26-21, to keep their playoff hopes alive. Do you think a lot of this just has to do with Wally Bono, how good a coach he is, and these guys are playing for him, Robert? Or is this team just done a complete 360?
I mean, I think Wally Bono is a very, very good coach. You know, he's been around for a long time. He was actually a head coach of Calgary when I was at BC. You know, but I think BC is has hit their stride and realized they're a capable team of going out there and performing and putting himself in a position as we say, get to the chip. You know, but there's so much parity in the CFL this year. We were talking about this last week. You know, mediocrity. You know, it's just. It's interesting to watch because at any given date, any given time, as I said before, if I was a gambling man, I would have no idea who to bet on. You know, I mean, BC could win it all, Calgary could win it all, Edmonton could, you know, even Saskatchewan. And it was funny. I was going to tell you before about how you brought it at the beginning about the because I was reading something earlier about the police blotter from the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And holy smokes, it looks like the Cincinnati Bengals.
Robert, I'm a Bengals fan. Come on, Robert. You don't have to go there. Jeez.
But I'm just saying, I mean, it's just ironic. I mean, like, I wasn't even looking for information on that, and I just happened to be reading an article about the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and I was like, okay, let me, you know, I was drinking coffee this morning before I went to work, and I was like, you have got to be kidding me. And I saw the list of names of players that have been in trouble or been arrested have been like this, and I'm like, holy smokes, that's like the Cincinnati Bengals. And for you to mention Cincinnati Bengals where you're talking about that, I just started laughing in my head. I was like,
that was 10 years ago, Robert. There's been very few arrests as of late.
Hey, they had Pac-Man Jones on the team for the Bengals, for goodness sake. Are you kidding me?
No, they don't. They got rid of Pac-Man. Pac-Man's been gone for a few months.
A year.
Yeah, he hadn't played since last year. And Pac-Man's a nice guy. I've met him before.
Yeah.
He's a good dude.
I'm sure his words will tell you that.
Oh, he is. He's a good guy. I've never had any problems with him. He didn't spit in my face. All right. Brian, when we look at Calgary, is this just boredom from everything clinched, or could there be a problem here?
We've seen this before, so I'm not gonna put the problem tag on them quite yet. We've seen this before. The boredom kind of sets in, and they don't play as well, and then all of a sudden they get to the playoffs and they play well right until
and they lose, Schmitty.
And they lose in the Grey Cup. So I don't, you know, I'm not ready to say, oh, it's a problem, but you know, this was one. I mean, obviously you'd like to have. I mean, I think, you know, I definitely think they would have. You know, you'd like to be entering the playoffs playing well, and they seem to do this every year. They seem to stub their toe about this time.
Yeah, and when we look at it, I mean, it's kind of similar to me to those old Colts teams that would start every year off 11-0, then they'd shut it down towards the end of the season and never could get it started back up. All right, let's go to Week 19, and the biggest game I think of this week is the first game of this week, which is the Hamilton Tiger Cats at the Ottawa Red Blacks, Brian. And this is for first place. Whoever wins this game controls their own destiny for winning the Eastern Division. Who do you like here?
You know, based on consistency's sake, I like Hamilton. They've been, you know, really playing well. They seem like they're really building for that to be peaking at the right time. The problem with this game is if, you know, Ottawa has the good and the bad team. If the good team shows up, they could very easily win this game. I'm going to pick Hamilton, but I definitely think this has got to make this be a really good football game or a really bad Hamilton blowout. So that's just how crazy Ottawa is.
All right, Robert.
Ooh, I mean, I have no faith or no confidence in Ottawa and Hamilton. You know, Masoli, they're just playing well right now. You know, I got to go to Hamilton. You know, I have more confidence in Hamilton playing well right now than I do Ottawa. Ottawa is just an up and down team, and they're too unsure for me.
Yeah, I agree. I have to go Hamilton. I would like to go Ottawa because I think they're a very talented team. I really like Trevor Harris, but I think you
Yeah,
got to
we've been
go.
seeing them. They lose games that that they should win.
Yeah, and you can't avoid that fact.
You cannot.
The other fact that you cannot avoid is right now, if the playoffs started, the BC Lions would be in it, which I don't think 5 or 6 weeks ago anybody would have believed. And right now, the Edmonton Eskimos are on the outside looking in. They've got to go to BC this week, Friday night, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. This is a must-win, really, for both teams, but especially for Edmonton, Robert. Does Edmonton get the win here, or does BC keep rolling towards the playoffs?
I like BC, but I mean, in a game, I sat down and watched an NFL game the other day, and I saw Aaron Rodgers, just shred, the San Francisco 49ers defense, and I was like, and I took a step back just from watching the game by myself, and I was like, wow, there's a great player playing. I mean, I'm not comparing Matt Riley to an Aaron Rodgers, but I'm just saying he's capable of competing at that level. I've seen him play in games where he's done things of that nature, and I just think, Riley with his ability to be able to go out there and understand the situation and understand how this is do or die, finds a way to get this win. And I take the Edmonton Eskimos and beating the BC Lions.
While watching that game, did you ever look at C.J. Beathard and think, how is Mike Riley not in the NFL?
That's exactly what I mean. That's funny because that's the analogy why I made that analogy. I mean, C.J. Beathard had a unbelievable game, and I was like, wow, Mike Riley is just every bit as good as this player. Why? Then but then it was an afterthought in my mind. But it's exactly what I thought when I saw that, especially in the first half. When at halftime I went to get something to eat and something to drink and everything, I was saying to myself, I was like, wow, there are a few quarterbacks in the CFL that are every bit as good as C.J. Beathard. Why are these guys hitting a shot?
I think Collaros, Mitchell, Riley. Yeah. I mean, Lule, I think, is better than Beathard. He might be a stretch, but Trevor Harris is. Masoli could play in the NFL. All these guys could. And it used to be, I don't know why they don't do it anymore, but you hardly ever see a CFL quarterback anymore even get a shot in the NFL.
No, you don't. I mean, I remember Jeff Garcia, Doug Flutie, Warren Moon. You can go on and on and on about the quarterbacks that, that they got shots to play down north, but play down south, I should say, from Canada. I'm thinking the United States, but it blows my mind. It boggles my mind sometimes.
All right, I'm going to go with BC's defense and Travis Lule. It would not surprise me if Mike Riley puts 50 points on him, but I just think right now BC's playing as good as anybody in this league. They're playing at home. It is a game that has huge playoff implications, Brian. So I'm going with the Lions.
Yeah, I want to go with the Lions as well, but I'm going to go with that. The reason being is Mike Riley, big time game, big time situation, and I think that he will rise to this and put this team on his back. We've seen him do it before, so I'm gonna take Edmonton.
All right, next up, we got Montreal at Toronto, and this is...
Wow.
I
really?
know. It's here, Robert. I didn't put it on the schedule. I'm just reading what it says. Don't kill the messenger, Robert. Jeez, kill the message. Montreal at Toronto. This is, I don't know. This is like, finding out. This is like finding out you could have a three-way, and then you get there, and both the girls weigh 500 pounds.
I think the only people watching this game will be family.
Yeah, and I don't even think their families will watch it.
No.
If
what are you playing for?
If you have to pick it, Robert, who do you pick?
Wow. Wow. Can I pick a tie?
Yes, you can, Robert.
No, I think Toronto just finds somehow, some way to win. I mean, Montreal is a train wreck, from the whole Johnny Manziel trade to the whole, just, oh my goodness, it's just, and Toronto's not far behind, so these are two organizations that pretty much are started planning for, next season, a week or two ago. So this is a game where players don't want to get hurt. They don't want to go into the off season injured. They're looking at free agency, looking at other teams. So a lot of things going on in the minds of these players who are going to step out there who do not want to get injured in the last game because it means nothing because they're not going to the playoff and they may not be with the team next year. So a lot of psychological games going on with the players on both teams right now.
All right, so you're going with Toronto?
I'm going with Toronto.
All right, Brian.
If you wanted to torture somebody, or if you wanted to bet somebody something that when they lost a bet, make them suffer, this would be the game to make them watch. Because this is bad. I'm going to go with Toronto only because they're both such train wrecks, but, I'm going to go with Toronto. I would have no idea. This is not one that I would want to bet on because this is bad.
All right. I tend to like to be positive when things like this happen, and I'm going to pick the Alouettes. And the reason I'm going to pick the Alouettes is I think the Alouettes over the last 3 weeks, when you watch them play, I think are playing harder than what Toronto is. They had the 34-29 loss at Saskatchewan. They played Calgary tough, had the lead 6-0 going into the fourth quarter. I think defensively they may be enough, and I don't know. I'm just going to pick Montreal. Let's stop talking about it. Next up, the Saskatchewan Roughriders at the Calgary Stampeders, Brian. And I think this is a huge game for Saskatchewan confidence-wise. They need to play well. They don't have to necessarily go beat Calgary at Calgary, but they need to play well here.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. This is not necessarily one they have to win, but it's one that they have to play well in to really kind of get that confidence and start getting some momentum. But with that, I'm always going to take, Calgary and something like this. But it wouldn't surprise me if Saskatchewan wins. And if Saskatchewan does win, then we really have to talk about, is Calgary doing what they've done in the past where they lose kind of at the end because they're just not interested? And now what does that mean when we get to the playoffs?
Yeah, and Robert, when I look at this game, the thing that really stands out to me is the fact that Saskatchewan, even though they're 10-6, has been outscored 404 to 386 this year. Do you like their chances here? Or are you just going with Calgary?
I started laughing when you first predicted this game. The Calgary versus because I said to myself, it's like Saskatchewan. It's Calgary versus the convicts. Pre the conversation we had before.
I mean,
it's just funny to me.
At least.
I mean that jokingly because everyone gets in trouble. You know that. But it's like
not everybody goes to jail though, Robert.
I was like, holy smokes! It's like, what are these guys doing? But you know what? At the end of the day, Saskatchewan is a very, very talented team. But I just have to go. From top to bottom, Calgary is a great organization. They'll find a way. To get into the playoffs, and be strong. Will they win the Grey Cup? I have no idea, but I think they're a strong enough team. We're going to win this game, and go in, not riding high, but with momentum going into the playoffs.
Now, where did you see the arrest record thing? Because I can't find something that has everything, but when you go down it from page 1, it is like Corey Sheets. Discharged after marijuana arrest.
Jerome Messon was the least for me. I had to look up voyeurism. I didn't know what it was.
My favorite one is Saskatchewan Roughrider caught with pot brownies at Winnipeg Airport.
Yeah, I saw that too. But I'm telling you, I had no. I knew it. I heard it before, but I didn't know what voyeurism was. But I remember Jerome Messon was released from it, and I was like, whoa, huh? Wait a minute. And I had to go in and Google it and find out what it was. I was like, wow.
Voyeurism?
Okay.
What was he, looking through somebody's window or something?
Pretty much what it is. It's just the art of really, just being exposed and, just having people watch you or you watching people. I'm like, okay, that's interesting and not really normal, but hey, to each his own and whatever you like. Okay.
Well, not really when it's illegal, though, Robert. Let's see.
Hey,
From what I see, most of them are marijuana arrests, though. So
that's why I call them the Cincinnati Bengals of the CFL.
That's just not. I don't know why you got to keep beating on me about this, Robert. I don't pick on you about the Syracuse Orangemen.
Because the Bengals are always in the news, and it's not good.
Oh, it's been a while, except for Pac-Man Jones.
In the past, no, there's been quite a few other players.
Well, this is the way I always look at it. No matter where you work, whether it's for the Bengals, the Raiders, or Lowe's, if you've got 53 people that work there, probably at least 10 of them ain't worth a crap as individuals anyways.
That's true. That is absolutely true.
I
just thought it was funny.
Oh,
it was
man.
interesting.
All right. Well, Schmidt probably enjoyed that since he's a Steelers fan. Let's.
They've got their own issues.
Yeah.
We have our own issues.
Yeah, you got Le'Veon Bell.
Don't get me started on them when Le'Veon Bell comes back, because that's a locker room divided. They just don't know it yet.
They would be better off.
Yeah,
we talked about this on the NFL Pickup Show. I think they'd be better off to just roll with James Conner and cut their losses.
So would I. Let it go, because Le'Veon is coming with the attitude already, and he's a better player, and watch what happens. That's going to be a locker room divided for a team that's trying to get back in the position to be successful. Not a good situation.
But, all right, Brian, any final words?
I'm glad to be home, and now I get to watch some football this weekend. So I'm looking forward to a good weekend of football, and I'm definitely going to watch tomorrow night. That Hamilton-Ottawa game is going to be a good one. Actually, Friday night, I should say. It's going to be a good game to watch.
Yeah, but luckily, if you'd have just let it go, the show won't be posted until tomorrow morning, so it would be tomorrow night.
Oh, that's true.
So there you go. Robert, any final words that are not about the Bengals getting arrested?
In all seriousness aside, it's just no disrespect or insult to the Bengals or the Rough Rider players, because no one's perfect. We all been in trouble before. I've been in trouble myself. But it's just I just found it ironic, and I found it very interesting. But at the end of the day, you're a football player. You line up on the field. You go out there and try to do the best you can, day in and day out. Week in and week out. Game and game day. So good luck to all these players. May they stay healthy and just go out there and just do the best they can. And the best team for that, for that day, for that month, for that year, will come out victorious.
Yeah, the one thing is this. I've never heard of any player on any NFL team get arrested for voyeurism.
Trust me, when I saw that, I had never seen that before. So, the simple fact that I even know the word, I was like, okay, that's something new. What is that? And I had to go look it up, and I was like, whoa, okay. It's a different generation.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. You can hear us every Wednesday night on the CFL Pickup Show at 9:30 Eastern on thegruelingtruth.net. I want to remind everybody they can hear all of our shows on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, Spreaker, Stitcher. Tune in wherever you find sports podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Robert Drummond, Brian Schmidt, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.